So this is a super exciting day. First day painting, actually painting with real oils. So I decided to just kind of film the entire process, but sped up 2 or 3 times. So first things first, we open our palette pad and well, not palette, what am I saying? Canvas pad, and get a piece of canvas. This is what we're going to be using to draw on. And then we also have to open our, they're not stencils, reference images, I guess. Open the shrink wrap, take out the very first page, and we're flipping through to see some of the exercises that we're going to be doing in the later stages of this program. You can see how a lot of these exercises, at least in block 1, are based on line drawings that we're going to trace, and then we'll fill in the paint. So I got this squares thing out, and now I'm opening the charcoal paper. So the charcoal paper only transfers images on one side, and then I'm testing to make sure that I got the right side of the palette. I keep saying palette, I mean canvas. And then you tape the charcoal paper to the canvas, the primed side up. And then you tape the stencil paper, I don't even know the terminology for these things, on top of that and try to make sure everything lines up well, and then secure it with pieces of tape around the edges. Then you use a pencil, and then you trace it. And the idea, it looks like I'm going really fast, but I actually went really slow because I wanted to make sure that the lines are exactly right. Every single step of this process, as Kevin says in his videos, is really important. You can't overlook any single step, because if you mess up a little bit in stage 1, then you're already working from a deficit when you move on to stage 2, and so on and so forth. And all of these little mistakes and errors can build up. So from the way that Kevin describes it, it sounds like oil painting is a pretty perfectionistic type of activity. But I kind of like that, just you slow down and you make sure everything is working perfectly. And what I'm doing now is, well, I'm taking off the paper, but Kevin advised us to take it off slowly so that we could check and make sure that all of the lines transferred correctly. And it's a good thing I did that, because I actually forgot to do one whole column of squares. And now I'm taking out the palette paper, and this gray toned paper is what we use to mix paint on, and it's disposable. So after you finish using it, mixing your paint on it, then you can throw it away. So the way that Kevin set up his palette paper is he split it up into 4 sections, because we have 4 paint values, grayscale colors. We've got extreme shadow, moderate light, and extreme light. And then we are measuring out 4 centimeters of paint for each color. But in the first session, I broke my painting sessions up into 2 days, and I talked to the teacher beforehand to make sure this was okay. And she said, it's okay to split it up by doing the dark colors first and then doing the light colors. Because if I were to do the entire painting in one sitting, it would take like at least 7 hours, if not more. So I decided to just do the shadows first. And the idea, though, is that, like, at first I asked her whether or not I could just do one color at a time, and she said, no, the point of the exercise is we also want you to practice cleaning your brush in between colors and shifting colors. So there's that. Oh, and then here we come to the mixing the oil paints with the linseed oil part, which is trickier than it looks, actually. So we put exactly 4 drops of linseed oil next to the paint, and then we're supposed to mix the paint and try not to get any paint on top of the palette knife, which that's not easy actually, and try to mix it all really evenly. And I think I definitely went outside the bounds a bit, and so I had to clean off my palette knife and did a little better with the second color. But this is another part of the process. The whole painting process, it's not just when you put your paintbrush to the canvas, it's also all of these preparatory steps are really important. So because this is my first time ever oil painting, it felt really awkward to mix paints, but I'm sure it'll get better over time. Okay, and then we start painting. So starting with the darkest shadow, and I had a little weird hair in my paintbrush, so I'm trying to show you what that looks like. Don't know if you can see, but there was one awkward hair that was sticking out, which is annoying when you're trying to paint extremely accurately. And it's hard to see from this angle, but actually my very first square wasn't really good, obviously. I mean, what do you expect, right? First time painter here. The corners are kind of rounded instead of really sharp and angular. And Kevin had said in his video that he wanted these squares to look almost as if you had cut them out of construction paper and glued them to the canvas. That's how neat and solid they should feel, or they should look. So here we go with the second color, which is the moderate shadow. And it's important to get all of the edges as straight as you can and the corners as sharp as you can, and cover the pencil line without going overboard. So that's basically it. And then I worked through the rest of this page going across. So I finished all the shadows and then all the lights. And then I used my leftover paint to make a checkerboard in my sketchbook because I wanted more practice and I wanted to keep painting and I wanted to use up the paint. So, all right, that's it. I will see you guys in the next assignment video. Until then, keep on creating lovely things.